Apple Vision Pro 2 just leaked, probably making all current Apple Vision Pro owners angry.
Welcome to the All Future Podcast, where we talk throughout the week about all things including AI, general tech, Apple, humanoid robots, and today we're talking about the Apple Vision Pro 2 that has now leaked with a supposed 2025 launch date. If you're enjoying these videos, we really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. We've been creeping up in subscribers and in general view counts. I don't know if you check on that, Matt, but it's kind of cool. I'm like, wow, that video where we talked about this got a lot of views.
You know what? I watch the videos when they first go up and stuff and see what kind of the vibe is. But then, yeah, like the other day I was just on the channel page just to look up something real quick. And I was like, oh, man, we're getting pretty good view counts here. And again, it's so funny because I think, me and you both have either currently work or have worked on channels that, get significantly more views than the videos here. But, man, I'm proud of the views here. Like, I like the views here. For you guys who don't know or they're new coming on board, man, we're trying specifically to talk in honest and in-depth and nuanced ways about this tech and in ways that goes against kind of what all these other nerds are doing, man. So if you, I just appreciate you guys watching, and I appreciate the feedback and even people who call me stupid. Thanks, man. I'm glad we're having a conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, he said other nerds, and that is because we are also nerds, So it's important. Other, because we're included in that group. And speaking of nerds, is Apple Vision. So Apple Vision Pro,
a product made for nerds.
Absolutely, I have an Apple Vision Pro. I got it on launch day. Super excited about it, and then I've kind of followed probably the normal path to being super excited, going down a little. I probably use it more than the average person who bought one, or the average, I guess, tech reviewer who bought one, because maybe the average person actually returned it. But I used it last night. I watched the movie Jurassic Park. It was a great experience. It was like a big, huge theater. I used my AirPods Pro with it. And so it's a great product. It's just a very niche product, and not everyone quite knows what it's for, and it's super expensive. But reportedly, they're already working on the second version of this. Previously, the leaks had been that Apple was just discontinuing all Apple Vision Pro work in favor of like an Apple Vision Lite or Air, because they need to make a cheaper version of this, because you have basically their competitor is the Quest, which is now $300 or $500 versus $3,500. Pretty insane difference. And you can feel the quality difference with the displays and such, but it just does not justify the price. So, what's coming with this new M5 Apple Vision Pro, Matt?
Well, kind of the big headline, right, is that they're doing it to get it fully functional with Apple Intelligence features, which is interesting and goes back to what we've talked about many times, is that Apple was not ready for AI stuff. I think that's there's a reason that's a common thing for people to say, because there's so much evidence for that. And you look at, say, you mentioned Quest on the Meta side there, they are all about visual AR combining with LLM AI stuff. And they just Meta just showed off their Orion system, which they supposedly have made 1,000 of those things, but it's still too expensive for them to sell it to people. But it's really the AR mixed with AI type of thing that we've been dreaming about. And it doesn't seem like Apple Vision had that in mind at all, especially since Apple Vision still seems like something, I mean, definitely it's designed as something to use at your desk and just give you kind of more monitor space, or like you're talking about watching a movie at home with it. It's not really something designed to interact with the world. And so it just wasn't, I think, ready for these Apple Intelligence features. Now, this brings up something, though. I'm going to hit you with something.
Okay.
So it's 6-7 months from now. Apple Intelligence features, they've rolled out a lot more features than they have right now in the beta. Everyone with newer iPhones is rocking Apple Intelligence stuff. I finally get to upgrade my iPad Pro to iPad OS 18, and it doesn't brick it, and I get to use Apple Intelligence on my iPad. But your Vision Pro does not get Apple Intelligence. What's going to go through your mind there?
I probably would take my Apple Vision. You know Parks and Rec, where Ron Swanson, he realizes his computer can track him, and he takes it in the computer and throws it in a dumpster. That would be me with the Apple Vision version 1, especially because it has the M2 chip and is fully capable of these Apple Intelligence features. I can understand maybe they need to optimize it and make it better with an M5, but I honestly do not think there is anything yet on the Apple Vision that has been like, I need a better processor. Yeah. So that would frustrate me to no end, because it's already such an expensive product, and then they're just not delivering those features.
And I mean, and we talked about it after the first the WWDC keynote that first introduced Apple Intelligence, and we're like, they didn't really talk about Vision Pro in there. So it seems like Apple is kind of burying this thing a little bit. Like even if Vision Pro is going to get all the Apple Intelligence features, and I agree with you, like what a slap in the face to Vision Pro early adopters if they don't put the full suite of Apple Intelligence, and there might be some technical limitations there. I don't know what the RAM is on that thing. Maybe that's, but it's got to be significant. It's got to be more powerful than a baseline iPhone 16, right? So,
I think so. It's got to be, right?
It's got to be, right? Like, I don't know. So, yeah, like if they don't introduce those things into the current model, that'd be crazy. But it could also,
apparently it has 16 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, so it's all there. And I haven't looked if there's something in Apple Intelligence notes or Vision OS update notes that they're talking about Apple Intelligence and what they're actually going to enable on it. I don't know what the rumor cycle is there. I don't have a Vision, so there's no reason for me to look at those rumors. And you're the guy who talks about Vision Pro on the podcast, so I've got no reason to research this. You got it covered. But yeah, and the Vision Pro, it does seem much like what Meta is doing. It lends itself to a lot of AI improvements, I think. Like, I mean, look at all the cameras and sensors you have on that thing. You talk about like a multimodal AI device. That thing's seeing all over the place, right? Like, it's processing all that information. It could do a lot of very interesting things. And for Apple to seem to not lean into that, like if they had confidence in the Vision Pro, it seems like at WWDC when they talked about Apple Intelligence, that'd been one of their top things they talked about. Like Apple's does this in a lot of keynotes. They're like, and it's even better with their all new blank and whatever product they're promoting at that point, And for them not to say, and Apple Intelligence will be even more amazing with visual computing for them to just not mention that, pretty wild.
Yeah, it seems like the device optimized for it. And I've even found myself already using the updated Siri on my iPhone 16 Pro Max with the beta. So I have Apple Intelligence there. And then I use the Apple Vision, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is the old one. This is the old Siri. And then also it doesn't have summaries of texts. It doesn't have email summaries. I can't use Safari and do summaries. Like, kind of, it's really weird because it's basically designed to be their flagship product, and they kind of showed it $3,500. Yeah, it's a crazy price, but this replaces the monitor because it's over 4K on the displays. This replaces the computer that you need because it's M2, but it's now not getting the latest Apple features. So maybe this will change. Maybe they will deliver all of Apple Intelligence over to the Apple Vision. I think they kind of have to, but still appears that in 2025 they're already going to go, here's the M5 version of it that's going to do Apple Intelligence even better, and probably designed from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. The first Apple Vision designed from the ground up for Apple Intelligence.
Exactly. I got an update from my boy Mark Gurman. This is from a 9 to 5 Mac article from a couple months ago, and he says that Apple Intelligence will be coming to the Vision Pro, but not until sometime in 2025. Apple is actively working on getting Apple Intelligence features to work on the device. So that wording implies that there's some kind of roadblock they're hitting. Like if it's like actively trying to get it to work on the device, it's like, something's happening there.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. The thing I can understand is that it's lower on their priorities because there's way less users. They want this for iPhones and they need to deliver it for iPhones because they sell lots of iPhones compared to a $3,500 thing. That is how it works at companies, which it sucks when you buy the expensive thing that it is that way. But I can understand it from that area and that it would be delayed. So hopefully I'm going to relax a little bit. I'm going to say hopefully within a year, actually within a couple months, hopefully we're going to get our first Apple Vision features for Apple Intelligence. But they might surprise us and say, "Oh yeah, you get summaries and stuff, but for the real stuff, here's what you need, and here's why you need to pay us another $3,500."
Well, and if this new model, this M5 model, is they're talking about a 2025 release date for it, then that kind of lines up with maybe by the time you're going to get Apple Intelligence on the current Vision Pro. And if I'm being dark conspiracy guy, like, I'm thinking, ooh, maybe Apple, they know the current Apple Vision's not going to be able to have Apple Intelligence. So they're rushing the new model of it that will have Apple Intelligence. And that's where that 2025 overlap is in there.
Yeah, and that would absolutely prove your point that they did not know AI was at all going to be a thing. They were not ready for it because I think it was like 6 months, maybe less, between the Apple Vision's announcement and launch and like the Apple Intelligence shift to where they're all in focused on this thing. So if they made a product right before that launched, that just isn't capable of it, yeah, that seems like they absolutely were like, oops, my bad. We did not know that this was about to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's like you get Apple Intelligence, you can't say that you're not getting it, but then they show off maybe finally some like actually exclusive to Apple Vision, Apple Intelligence features like visual things that you can do when you don't have to engage with it at all, or different things with multiple windows open that really optimizes the visual VR experience that you get in there. And then that would be like, it's very processor intensive, so it has to use the M5 chip.
Yeah, I mean, there's awesome stuff you could do, man. Like with like generative stuff, like with this quality of those screens and the cameras on there, and if you put in like real time generative AI type things to like, make my room blue now, and it turns all the walls blue or whatever, like there's all kind of like cool kind of stuff you could do. But that evidently you're gonna need an M5 for. So sorry, man, you're stuck with your old lame Vision Pro, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, but we'll see what happens there. I am still hopeful that they'll deliver some of it because it has an M2 chip, it has 16 gigs of RAM. It should have everything that they've claimed the computers need in order to do Apple Intelligence. But in any case, it is a very interesting product because Meta kind of just showed us the product that Apple probably wanted it to be. Now, Meta it doesn't have a release plan here. They're just showing off the technology. It's probably a few years off from being released and being a product that anyone could buy, and then it would be quite expensive when it comes. But it's cool that we're getting these visions of what the future is. Apple's delivering it to us in a form that they can deliver today versus Meta's showing us what the future will hold once the tech just becomes more accessible, I guess. On the Meta side of things, with that product, they've been, I think, pretty clear that this is all AI driven versus Apple released this product as we were talking about, and it may not even be capable of this stuff or not fully. So that wasn't at all on their like long-term vision. It doesn't seem, at least. But AI stuff is always very exciting to see develop because then we see it trickle down into products. And Google this week has their new Notebook LM feature, which I've seen actually quite a few people excited about, and people who are maybe not as pro AI like this feature. And basically it allows you to take up to 500,000 words and perform actions like some examples here: write the rest of your book, outline a textbook or a recording of notes from a class, or turn a textbook or any long form reading into a podcast. Very interesting stuff. I'm curious to see what this actually results in because write the rest of your book sounds kind of crazy, and I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I have heard from people that you can kind of be a lot more customized with it very easily. So you can put in all of the sources you want it to be citing, and then it could give you some sort of summary or outline based on that, as opposed to current models, which are kind of like all expansive. You don't entirely know where it's drawing its information from. This just maybe is a little more dialed in.
Yeah, that seems cool. I like the turn stuff into a podcast kind of thing. And I like that because this does show how AI can maybe level the playing field for people. And I've talked about this before here on the podcast, but I have always done really good academically in school. Like I was always really good grades, always top of my class on things through the high school, college, the military, college again. And it's not because I'm particularly smart. Right. It's because, yeah. I was like, I'm humble brag on all my academic accomplishments. But let me temper that a little. I don't think I'm actually, naturally intelligent. I think my natural skill sets, though, are skill sets that serve me well in an academic environment. I am really good at reading and processing and remember information quickly. There's whatever, just twist of fate. I'm good at that, and that makes me good academically. And there's other people who are incredibly smart, but maybe aren't readers, right? And them being able to learn information through a podcast format, or them being able to have complex stuff broken down into better outlines so that they can kind of look at it in a different sort of way. I think that's great. I think that can be really helpful to people. And I mean, like I said, make it so where someone who just so happens to have an advantage because of the way we've set up the world, like myself, and I just think about how all the great stuff we miss out on because you get people who maybe have good ideas, who are smart, but they just can't process our information in or put it out into the world in a really effective way. And these kind of AIs can do that. So I think that's pretty cool. Writing the rest of your book, that seems crazy.
Yeah.
Almost because why have it do that? Like, does it like just write the book? Like, might as well have AI write the whole book if you're going to have it finish a book or whatever. But and I do find that AI, and this one is actually a little better at it, it seems, this model. But AI writing is pretty bad, I think, as someone who enjoys literature. I find it. I can, especially someone, and I see so much AI that I know a lot when something is probably written by an AI. There's certain mannerisms in the writing that really lend itself to being AI, and a lot of it is lack of variance in like sentence structure. Like AI is really bad at having like explaining a thing and then having maybe a short sentence to punctuate it. So like the example would be, I went outside and saw my beautiful garden today, and then I saw a bug in it, and that bug made me think about my life a little more or something, right? This is a big flowery sentence. And AI would just keep writing everything in that flowery sentence. And actual good writers would say that sentence, it'd be period, and then at the end it'd go, and that's why my life is shit. Doom. It would have this kind of like beat, and that's, great writers do that, right? They give you like these emotional beats in the writing through varying sentence structure, and AI is so garbage at that. I'm sure it won't always be, but it is right now. And I've said this many times, I don't like wholesale AI creation of things, whether it's writing or visual arts or music or anything like that. But I do like AI being able to take those things that do exist and helping people understand them better. So like having it break down information, having it present things in a different way, I think is really cool. This is another one of those examples. So cool. I'm in on it.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of these models as well, we see they need to advertise it in a certain way. So it's saying it can finish the rest of your book for you. And it's like, that's the cool sounding thing to maybe get people to try it. But in reality, especially today, these tools are actually useful for more basic things. So just getting it to, finish the rest of a paragraph for you, and then you go, oh, okay, I could see where I could go with that, and then maybe you rewrite it yourself, like that type of thing. And also summarizing and all the stuff we've talked about that Apple is adding into Apple Intelligence. Just a lot going on in this space. I think a lot of learning happening in various models, and we're seeing all of this stuff kind of come together on the AI side and then the product side. So at this point, Apple is finally realizing that, and unfortunately, the Apple Vision might be the latest product that they go, oh, we have to get this designed for Apple Intelligence, and we didn't quite realize it at the time we released this incredibly expensive product.
Can't wait to see you throw it in the trash.